This podcast is sponsored by the Fireman Moving Company. The Fireman Moving Company is the official moving company of WKU Athletics. Not only can they be trusted to move all the coaches in and out of Western, but they can move you anywhere nationwide. The Fireman Moving Company is owned and operated by firemen and is founded by WKU alumni. If you are looking to move sometime soon, give them a call at 270-791-1755 and get yourself a free quote. Welcome to Topper Talk, your number one Western Kentucky athletics podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Moffitt, and I'm joined by co-host Tyler Bailey. Hilltopper Nation, whether it's happening on the hill or on the road, grab those red towels, stand up and cheer, because it's up next on Topper Talk. All right, welcome back, and thank you for downloading and listening to another episode of the Topper Talk podcast. We are the official podcast of the Red Towel Trust Collective, and we are a proud member of the College Huddle podcast community. As always, follow us on all of our social media platforms. We're literally on all of them. Just search Topper Talk. Be sure to give our YouTube channel a subscribe. I've got Tyler here with me, man. We've got a fun episode to jump into, man. You ready to get into it?
As always, man, you already know I am. It's going to be a good one, going to be a great one. Let's go.
But before we do that, we have to get caught up with our Red Towel wrap up, which catches us up on all the WKU athletics we've missed since we last recorded, and is brought to us by Trent Bedding Company.
Don't forget your headboard, pillows, and your sheets. We got everything you need for a good night's sleep. Number one on the same check, best of Bowling Green.
All right. Hey! Twin, full, queen, and king. Mattresses for anything. Come and pick it out and we can bring it to your house. Have you sleeping real good before the weekend's out. Trent Bedding. It's just like a mattress store. Hey.
It's lit. Starting out, we got WKU men's golf. They played at UK, and here are the final results. Gage Dull, he tied for 7th with a score of 8 over. Tied for 17th was Nick Hoffman. He was 11 over. Tied for 20 was Stephen Warren. He was tied he shot 12 over. Tied for 74th was Reed Ritchie. He was 27 over, and 81st place was Trevor Drew, and he shot 35 over.
Yeah, good job for the men. The team finished in 9th. I forgot to put that in the notes. My apologies, but the team had a good showing. 3 of them in the top 20. So that's a good showing for a really good invitational that had a lot of good teams there. So good job, guys. And obviously, we look forward to watching y'all continue to improve.
All right, so then moving on to WKU volleyball, they had their version of the 100 miles of hate, and it was 100 miles of kicking ass. On Tuesday, they swept MTSU 3-0. On Wednesday, they won 3-1. Kennedy Cole broke the program's all-time single-game hitting percentage with a perfect 10 of 10 on Tuesday. And then they beat FIU 3-2 on Saturday.
Yeah, I think that's up to like 9 matches in a row they've won now. And 8 of them they had swept up 8 of them 3-0 before that Wednesday 3-1 versus MTSU. In that first game, the 3-0 sweep on Tuesday, Kennedy Coyle, like you said, she broke the all-time single game hitting percentage with that 10 of 10. It was pretty cool. It was highlighted by the NCAA volleyball account on Twitter and Instagram. So she got a lot of recognition for that. And then, today, as we record late Saturday, we had a 5-set thriller with FIU in the first of 2 matches. We play them again tomorrow. We jumped out to a 2-set lead, but they were able to force a 5th set that came down, pretty close to the end. So, find a way to win. And, I have a feeling that, those tough out-of-conference games that we played this season really kind of had them ready and prepared. This was their third 5-set game of the season. Luckily, it was the first one they won. They had dropped the previous 2. So, Hilltopper volleyball, this is what we expected. The season has turned around. They're not all going to be, pretty 3-0 wins. Sometimes you're going to have to, grind one out, and that's what they did here.
Keeping the train rolling, WKU baseball, they played Team Ontario. The Tops did get the win. WKU baseball also hosting a bad out breast cancer on 10/17 from 6 to 8 p.m. $5 for 5 swings. The proceeds benefit Graves Gilbert Clinic patients.
Yeah, fall ball continued. Beat Murray earlier in the week. Beat Team Ontario. Didn't see a score again. Did see some statistics, and if you watch the team's Instagram account, they did show a lot of clips from the game. Looks like there's a lot to be excited about with the baseball team, and I think that's no surprise after Coach Raridan's first 2 seasons. He really has that program on the rise. Really high expectations, and then a really cool. I think this is the second or third year in a row they've done this Bat Out Breast Cancer event. That's coming up next week. So it will be from 6 to 8 on the 17th. Like you said, 5 swings for $5. And then all the proceeds are going to benefit breast cancer patients at Graves Gilbert Clinic. So that's really awesome. Hopefully the weather cooperates and we have a nice day where a lot of people can come out and just support, not only the baseball program, but also a good cause for, breast cancer research.
WKU tennis, they participate in the ITA Ohio Valley Regionals. Rachel Hermanova and Sophia Blanco competing. They won the first round of the doubles match.
Yeah, they won their first round doubles match, and then actually, right before we recorded, I just saw the results that they won their second doubles match, and then they lost their third doubles match, and they just barely failed, just by a few points, to advance to the quarterfinals. Rachel Hermanova won her consolation singles match, and then Sofia Blanco lost hers. So we're really proud of those 2 ladies going and representing WKU tennis. Both of those athletes are 2 of the most winningest athletes we have in the history of our tennis program. They're right up there, near number 1 in singles and doubles victories. Both of them are. So really good competitors. That was a really good field. They were playing at the MTSU complex. MTSU is a really good tennis program. For all that we don't like about MTSU, they are really good at tennis, and I will give them that 7 days of the week, twice on Sunday. You can be good at tennis. We'll be good at everything else. But we're still pretty good in tennis. But I'm proud of those girls, and way to represent WKU.
It just seems like a fair trade-off, if you ask me. Moving on to some Pro Tops news. Justin Johnson was named the Player of the Week in the Italy 2 League after a 25.11 rebound game.
Yeah, definitely good news for Justin Johnson. I think he's like in his 7th or 8th season now overseas. He's played in a couple of different leagues. He was first team all league last year, and obviously is still just grinding out, staying in shape, putting up good numbers. 25 and 11 is a really solid game. So, and got the recognition for being the Player of the Week in the league. So congratulations to JJ.
Kind of in that same thought, WKU basketball picked to finish second in Conference USA by the head coaches, and Don McHenry and Tyrone Marshall were voted to the preseason all-conference team.
Yeah, it's interesting the way the voting played out. If you looked at the full results from the Conference USA media page, 5 teams on the men's side received first place votes. So that just goes to show you the parity that we have on the men's side of the league. A lot of good teams, just up and down at the very top. Obviously, we didn't win the regular season last year, but we went to Huntsville and just ran through that tournament. And quite frankly, we're going to be right there, neck and neck for number 1, number 2. So I'm okay with being voted number 2, and then Don and Tyrone getting the nod, being on the preseason all-conference team. Congratulations to them. It's just talking season. It's all just media fodder. Those guys aren't really paying attention to this type of thing. They want to go out there and prove it on the court. So really looking forward to basketball season getting started, here at the end of this month.
Lady Toppers picked to finish 4th in Conference USA, and Alexis Meade voted to the preseason all-conference team.
Yeah, I think we know that the Lady Toppers have had a tough couple run of years. They've just been inconsistent. Obviously haven't won as many games as they would like to. I see that changing this year. It's going to be hard to crack into that top 2 or 3 in the league. Middle Tennessee is really good. Liberty's really good. FIU, I think, has the preseason player of the year. So, the top 2 or 3 is going to be tough to crack into, but I have a feeling finishing 4th, I think, would be pretty good, would be an improvement. If they can slide into that top 3, that'd be really good. But I think we've done a lot of good as far as flipping the roster over, adding some good talent to this team that'll help us win more games. And then Alexis Mead, being preseason all conference, it doesn't hurt to have her back as well. So congratulations to her.
The Lady Toppers also announced that they are hosting their 2nd annual Top or Treat event before their exhibition game on 10/29. It begins at 5 p.m.
Yeah, if you got little ones and you want to do some trick or treating, it's always nice to have an indoor setting for those. And especially you, Tyler, you got one you want to be doing your first trick or treating with. Man, this will be an easy one. Get little Reed into Diddle Arena possibly for the first time. Do a little trick or treating, watch a basketball game. It doesn't matter how cold it is outside. It's gonna be nice and Diddle. Get Reed in there and meet the Lady Toppers, and then go watch hopefully a good basketball game. So looking forward to that great event to have for the 2nd year.
For sure. I'm definitely going to take Reed to that. Me and the wife and Reed, a little family outing. Lady Topper golfer Kaylee Dwyer named Conference USA Golfer of the Week after her performance at the Evie Odom Invitational.
Yeah, I think we talked about this after the results of that tournament. It's just really nice to have someone besides Katie Craig, who's always near the top, top 5, top 3 at every tournament. Sydney Hackett's done well this year, Avery Klein in these fall tournaments. Now we've got a true freshman that led us in that tournament, was near the top of the leaderboard that whole tournament. So congratulations to her. I think that just bodes well for the future of the golf program. And competition is going to make each other better. So congratulations to her.
Katie Craig competed in her 100th round as a hill topper. That's big.
Yeah, that's big. And that just goes to just point out what kind of competitor she is and just how successful she is. She's always making cuts. She's always near the top of the leaderboard. Yeah, that's been the same the last 2.5 years now. Since we've started this podcast, she's been a constant fixture in golf news standings, how she's doing, how the team's doing. It's usually led by Katie Craig. It wasn't at the Evie Odom tournament, but she was right there. She was our number 2 golfer. And now has done 100 rounds coming into her senior year. She's obviously going to add a few more to that. So we're really looking forward to watching her complete her senior season here at Western.
Now this next one is for the gearheads. WKU Sports is selling the Big Red Eyes hat, and it's a limited time only. So if you like what you see on the helmet, if you like the Big Red Eyes merch, this is your chance to get something.
Yeah, every time we do something cool like that, like when we did the position Big Reds last year, everybody's like, sell the, put it on a shirt, put it on a hat, whatever. And they did. They put it on shirts last year. NIL store was selling things. And now, Equipment Store posted a story of the hats in the equipment room for all the individual players and staff. And everybody's like, man, we need to sell those. Hey, they're on sale. Go to WKU Sports, go buy you a hat. It is a limited time only. I assume once supplies run out, that's going to dry up and not be offered again, for potentially some time. So, if you wear hats, if you're a collector of hats, it's a pretty neat one and cool one to have. You better get on WKU Sports now. Go ahead, open that wallet up, get you a Big Red Eyes hat. It's a pretty cool item. I'm not a hat wearer myself, but it's still something I might buy just to have in my Jeep. You got to protect that Jeep hair when you got the top off. So I might get me one as well.
For sure, you definitely need one. And that concludes this episode of the Red Tower Wrap Up, brought to you by the Trent Bedding Company here in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Moff, back to you, man.
Yeah, as always, good stuff in the recap. Just a lot of good news and recognition for our athletes and teams. Always glad to touch on that and just, talk about how our teams and programs are doing. And on that same note, we have a good victory to recap on the football field. This past Thursday night, we hosted UTEP here at Western, and we came out victorious with a 44-17 victory. WKU is now 4-2 overall on the season, and we are 2-0 in Conference USA play. while UTEP drops to 0-6 now. The announced attendance for the game was not great, 12,723. Obviously, we know that it is fall break here in Warren County, all the surrounding counties and Warren County. A lot of people were just out of town in Florida, or went to the East Coast with the hurricanes. Went to Myrtle Beach or Panama, just got out of Bowling Green, and I think that was one of the biggest factors in the attendance not being that great. But from everything I heard, and saw some videos of tailgating, it looked like the tailgating scene still looked pretty good. From the few people I talked to in the spaces we did after the game, it sounded like the atmosphere of the game was still pretty good and was pretty electric for who was there. It sounds like it was an engaged crowd. The weather was good. The Big Red Eyes helmet, all the pregame fodder that they got and all the social media love that they got, only continued once the game got started. All those, the Sickos committee and Busting with the Boys and just everybody was reposting those helmets, live in action on the field. It's just really cool to see. Big props to our equipment staff for just being super creative and bringing that to life. And, we debuted the red helmets. I'm glad we finally got those out, and they'd been talked about and rumored for a long time. Before the season began, they were announced as officially here. And now we officially broke them out with the Big Red Eyes helmet, and did so in a convincing victory with this game over UTEP, which never really was in doubt. For a little while, may have been closer than what we wanted into the third quarter, but was able to stretch that out with a convincing 44-17 victory. So before we jump into the particulars of the game, Tyler, what are your thoughts on the game overall?
Well, I just want to talk a little bit about the Big Red helmets, because Western's marketing team, equipment staff, what was it, last year, 2 years ago, whenever they did like that saga of the Big Red, wanted to get on the helmet. He went all the way, took it up to the high office, and he finally got on it. I just gotta say, the saga of Big Red is very entertaining. I always enjoy seeing it on the feeds or timelines or what have you. But now into the game. You're right. I didn't ever really feel threatened by UTEP. I actually took the alt spread of WKU to cover 24.5, I think it was, just because I figured if we were going to win, it was going to be win big. It wasn't nothing like last year when it was a lot closer. They were actually leading us going into the fourth quarter, I believe. So I just felt like we were going to come out and have our way with them, and we did. We'll talk about here in a little bit, but we actually had a good balanced attack. And, I wish I could have been there at the game. Me and my wife, we actually took a read out of the state for the first time, went up to Indiana. Some of Lauren's family from Germany was in, so we went sightseeing a little bit. But, I listened to it on the radio on the way back, and it sounded like a hell of a game to be at. It was awesome to listen to.
Yeah, same for me. I also didn't get to attend the game. Like I mentioned, it was fall break. The family and I went down to the greater Orlando area in Florida, and we were in path of Hurricane Milton coming our way Wednesday night. We decided to stick it out. We didn't leave. We weren't under evacuation orders where we were. We weren't. We're far enough inland from Tampa that we decided to just ride it out. It was windy. It was rainy Wednesday night. But luckily, the eye of that storm broke up, and we were just fine. But wife and I, we went to the poolside bar there at our resort, and we were able to watch the game, and really good time. And it was really a really rough week, obviously being on vacation. We just got back into Bowling Green, Kentucky this morning, and just ready to get back to normal. Out of the hurricane's path, thank goodness. But jumping into this game, WKU was able to jump out to an early 7-0 lead thanks to a beautiful touchdown pass to Dalvin Smith in the back corner of the end zone. UTEP was able to tie the game shortly after that. They had a long pass play. It was a 76-yard pass play, I believe it was. But then we turned around and answered with a Mike Matheson touchdown off an end around rushing play. It was great to see number 4 get back in the end zone. I think we're all familiar with the saga that he had last year of getting hurt in fall camp and then just never being able to make it onto the field last year. End up sitting a year out and then coming back this year, kind of been slowly worked into getting back on the field, getting more touches. And he definitely got back in a big way in this game. Now, the second quarter, it was all WKU. We added 2 Lucas Canario field goals, and then we also added a Caden Veltkamp rushing touchdown to take a 27-7 lead into halftime. And then in the second half, we gave up that opening kickoff return for a touchdown, 100 yards. And then I was having flashbacks of the Boston College game. The first time we had the ball, we ran the ball 5 of our 6 plays on our first offensive possession, and we ended up punting the ball back to UTEP. And I thought, here we go. We've got a lead, a pretty comfortable lead, and now we're trying to bleed clock already. We punted the ball back to UTEP. They were able to add a field goal. So real quick, that 20-point lead went down to 27-17. But then we were able to turn around. We added a second touchdown to Mike Matheson, a receiving touchdown. And then we held UTEP to consecutive turnovers on downs. And then we added another Mike Matheson touchdown. And then finally a Lucas Canario bombed field goal from 54 yards out, which was the second longest in WKU history, to lead to that final score of 44-17. We did, it was pretty comfortable in the first half. We did open the second half just kind of sluggish before we turned it back up and decided to push the pedal back down a little bit and open that thing up to where we were pretty comfortably in the lead and took care of business. Now, looking at the offensive stars and the stats of this game, we were able to compile 482 yards of offense. 264 of those were passing, 218 were rushing. So pretty balanced attack. That's kind of something that we've seen more and more this season. We've really spread the ball out around to a lot of different guys, not just one, bell cow running back that's getting all those yards, but we've, pretty consistently been over 100 in this game, over 200. Really impressive. Caden Veltkamp was our leading passer. He was 18 out of 27 for 264 yards. He had 3 passing touchdowns. He did have 1 interception. It was a tip ball, going into the end zone that was tipped and then intercepted. Then he also added a rushing touchdown. So he was responsible for 4 touchdowns. So really good game for Caden. Elijah Young was our leading rusher. He had 16 attempts and 60 yards. George Hart III added 3 carries for 55 yards. Then Easton Messer was our leading wide receiver. He had 6 catches for 106 yards. It just seemed like every time you turned around, Easton Messer was making a big play. I started calling him Monster Messer while we were watching the game because I was like, man, he's already broken out. He's a well-established, well-known name. But it was really nice to see him getting some targets and just making some big plays for us. Keyshawn Johnson, had another solid game. Didn't find the end zone. Did have 1 drop pass in the end zone that would have been a touchdown, but still a good solid game. 5 catches for 82 yards. Dalvin Smith, 2 catches for 39 yards with 1 touchdown, that opening touchdown of the game. And then Mike Matheson, 2 catches, 17 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Pretty good. Every time he caught the ball, that man got into pay dirt. So welcome back, Mike Matheson. 1 rushing touchdown, 2 receiving touchdowns. He had the hat trick. The elusive and rare hat trick. Really, really happy for him. Really proud of him. Really just breaking that rust off. And I really think that could be a big piece and big key of our offense moving forward is what he brings, his speed, his elusiveness, his big playability is really going to change this offense and for the better, quite frankly. I'm really looking forward to seeing him contribute more going forward. But Tyler, what were your thoughts on the offense versus UTEP?
I thought the offense played really good. I am a fan of the balanced attack. We're not always relying on the passing attack. We know that we can hand it off. It was great to see George Hart get 55 yards, on 3 carries. He is built like a bowling ball, so if he can bust through that line or just kind of get around the end and get up into the secondary, I think he could be a mismatch. he could be a nightmare for some defensive players. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. I've worked 12 hours a day. I'm tired. But no, I think they all played great. Keyshawn Johnson, he's not up there at the top of the receiving list, but he is second. It was great seeing Easton Messer to come out there, and he got 106 yards. I do kind of wish River Helms was, I wish he was targeted more. But he's still out there, still giving to the team. Dalvin, man, it's good to see Dalvin back. He's been kind of not. He ain't really been real flashy this season so far. I would say, he's always going to be a threat in the end zone, but I mean, it's just good having him back out there and catching touchdowns again. Elijah Young played great. It's just good to finally see that we have 218, yards rushing, over 200 yards rushing as a team. I'd say the one thing that I probably would like to see is Caden to slide a little bit. Because I know from what I heard on the radio, the boy took some hits there when he probably should have slid. And, dude, you came off the bench. I don't want to go to the third string because right now you and you're playing lights out. You're playing great. I would just hate to see you get hurt, man. And why risk it whenever you can slide and then just continue on. But he does got that dog in him because I think we were 4-4, and he took it and he fought for the first down yardage. It is great to see him be kind of like a dual threat, QB.
Yeah, really good offensive game overall. It's hard to complain, especially when we have so many weapons. Really, the only thing that I took away and I noticed, we didn't get the ball to River Helms. He had one catch for 9 yards, and really, as I was talking with someone after the game, I was like, man, it's kind of odd that we didn't throw the ball to River that much. But when you go back and watch the game, which I went back and watched a little bit of the game, thanks to Hilltop Revolt, they got that game up pretty quick on YouTube. If you're not familiar with Hilltop Revolt, look them up. A lot of old games are on there, complete games. Really cool to have at your disposal, especially to go back and watch a game and kind of just see what you didn't see the first time. But UTEP was playing a lot of too high safeties. They weren't loading the box. They were kind of daring us to run. They wanted us to run. I think they were kind of respecting what we can do passing the ball, really trying to cover up those underneath and those shallow routes that, River Helms would typically cut you up with. And I think that's why you see us with over 200 yards of rushing. We were able to take advantage of that and say, okay, if you want to give us the rush, we can do that. Then every once in a while, we had to keep them honest and let Easton and Keyshawn and Dalvin, Mike Matheson and those guys cut them up offensively. So it was a good game. Obviously, I would love to see our boy River get some more touches, but at the end of the day, it's all about a victory. And this was quite a solid and convincing victory. Now, flipping and looking at the defensive side of the ball, we only gave up 17 points, and two of those touchdowns. That the only 2 touchdowns we gave up were, that big 76-yard pass play, which again we saw that multiple times versus MTSU. We just had let the big play get behind us, and then that opening kickoff return in the second half that was a return for a touchdown. Take out those 2 big plays, and UTEP only had a field goal. They did not have a lot of success moving the ball. A couple big plays, and that was it. I think you have to be really happy and really proud for what our defense did. They're really aggressive. They're getting pressure on the quarterback, week in and week out. Even if it's not always, resulting in multiple turnovers per game. I think there was just 1 interception this game. But just putting teams behind the sticks. UTEP was 0 of 3 on 4th down attempts. So that's the defense pinning their ears back and just flexing their muscle a little bit on those, 4th and short type conversions where they just didn't allow it to happen. And we held UTEP to only 330 yards of offense. Sebastian Benjamin was our leading tackler. He had 7 tackles, with 3 of those being solo, with 1.5 sacks. Terrence Ellis had 7 tackles. Marcus Patterson had half a sack, and then Darius Thomas had our other sack. We had 3 total sacks in the game. And then DeMarco Williams did have the 1 interception, our only turnover forced in the game. I believe he went out in the game, if I'm not mistaken. He went out injured later in the game. I didn't see if he came back into the game or not. That would be something to keep an eye on. I'm not sure if he, potentially was in concussion protocol. It looked like he may have hit his head either on an offensive player or possibly even a teammate, just watching the replay. So we'll keep an eye on that. He has been an impactful starter this season, has made several good plays for us. So obviously we would like to have him back, but it's always next man up, even if not. But Tyler, what did you think about defensively? I think it was a pretty solid game. What's your thoughts on how the defense played versus UTEP?
Oh, I thought it was very solid because you're right. I mean, you do take them 2 big plays away, and yes, they kind of are our Achilles heel. But I mean, if we ain't scoring more than 17 points or 14 points in a conference game, I think we probably deserve to lose. Upton Stout, he played good. He had 2 tackles for loss. I heard his name on the radio coming back a whole lot. Kylan Goodry, I know he had 4 tackles. I mean, just a lot of different defensive players are getting their nose in there and wanting to be in the stat sheets. I think whenever we put our second string in there towards the end of the game, I was hearing names that I didn't think I would hear, and they, everyone was trying to, I guess get their name on the radio, and it was great. I mean, this defensive team we have, they will play hard-nosed defense. Being not breaking, I'm so glad that we're not allowing teams to just score will on us. And, we're actually putting up a big fight, and I think defensive coordinator deserves all the credit, man.
Yeah, in my opinion, Tyson Summers and the defensive side of the ball have been the MVP so far this season. I think our offense has been pretty good. Don't get me wrong. We've other than the Alabama game, we've put a lot of points on the board. There's been time we've left points off the board, but our defense has kept us in every single ball game, short of that Alabama game. And even against Alabama, they did some good things, albeit they gave up 63 points. But the defense has just been absolutely solid. They pinned their ears back. They've been great with pressure, great in the secondary, kind of what we expected coming into this year. I think we had the most question marks on the defensive side of the ball, but I think they have definitely answered all the questions and more by just showing that they are very strong, and they're going to keep us in ball games. Like you said, if we're only giving up 17 points, and we're scoring over 30, you're going to win a lot of ball games doing that. So I'm really proud of that side of the ball and Tyson Summers and his entire staff. And then looking at the special teams, we don't always highlight these guys, but we had some good showings against UTEP. Easton Messer did have a nice 19-yard kick return. Then our boy Lucas Canero, he was 3 out of 3 on field goals with that program second best ever, that 54-yarder included. And he was 5 out of 5 on extra points, and he got the game ball afterwards if you watch that clip on the WKU football social media. So happy for him, proud of him. Obviously, he's been a solid player now for a season and a half. Definitely deserved that game ball. And then Cole Maynard, doing what he does. He only came in and punted twice, but had a 43.5 yard average. One of those was downed inside the 20. So just a really solid effort from him. And now jumping into the key indicators of the game before we get into grades. Total yards, WKU outgained UTEP 482 yards to 330. Third down conversions looks kind of odd, not what you would expect on this type of a lopsided game. We were 6 out of 14, so just under 50%, but we were 4 out of 4 on fourth downs, like you mentioned earlier. UTEP was 8 out of 15, so they were better than 50%, but they were 0 of 3 on fourth downs, and that was really the second half, the fourth quarter, when they were trying to extend drives and get points on the board when they were down multiple scores. They couldn't do it. They turned it over on downs 2 times in a row there in the fourth quarter to give us the ball back. So Again, would like to see us a little better on third down conversions, stopping the other team, but still 0 out of 3 on fourth down. That's acceptable. Penalties, WKU had 5 penalties for 50 yards. A small trend, that's not a terrible number, but we would like to see that cleaned up. UTEP only had 2 penalties for 13 yards. Don't get me started on this one. There was several missed holds, a missed PI. I don't know if the refs were just letting it go because we were up multiple touchdowns, but they didn't have their first penalty called till late in the fourth quarter. It was something ridiculous, and I was like, I guess these guys are just that good because they were one of the most penalized teams in the nation coming into this game, but all of a sudden, they were just playing clean football. Yeah, just stopped. The hankies got stuck in their pockets. I don't know what was happening, but either way, that's something we obviously need to clean up and improve upon. Those penalties can be costly. Did cause us, the first possession of the second half did put us behind the chains. We ended up punting that first possession. And then turnovers, we were tied 1-1. We both threw interceptions in the game, so a draw there. Then time of possession, basically even. WKU 29-37, UTEP 30 minutes and 23 seconds. If I read correctly, that was the first game of the season that UTEP has possessed the ball longer than their opponent. I think that says more about them than it does about us because, when we scored, we were scoring pretty quickly. So that's why they had the ball a little bit longer. It's not like they had long sustained drives against us by any means. So, Tyler, before we jump into some grades, what are your thoughts on the stats and the key indicators for this game?
Definitely got. You're right. It's not a lot of penalties, but I mean 5-2. The refs had. I don't know how they could be that blind, but I mean that's terrible. I mean turnovers too. I guess if you're not going to create more, it's best just be tied even. I would like to see us get a few more interceptions or at least a few more fumbles. It was great holding them to 0-3 on fourth down. 8-15 for third down. I'll take it. But us going 4 for 4 on fourth down, man. I mean, that's great. I love to see it. And it's good to see Coach still being aggressive like that. I know it has came and bit us in the butt some this season, but I'm glad this past week it paid off. And I mean the yardage, dude. I mean, I love going for 482, and to know that it just wasn't all passing. That's something that because it has been a while since our rushing attack has been a danger. I would say it's not that we ain't had good running backs, but to keep a team honest, everyone's selling out on the passing game. I mean, it's great that hey, if you're going to cover them, our running backs going to just cut you right up, dude. And I mean, I'm so happy that's actually came back around this season, man.
Yeah, talking about that, the 4 out of 4 on fourth down conversions. I saw another stat. I want to say it was Jeff Nations or somebody posted it during or right after the game that we now lead the nation in fourth down conversions. I think we have 13 successful fourth down conversions. Now, obviously, that was before the games today on Saturday. So, whether that fact still holds true that we lead the nation, I don't know, but it does go to show that Tyson continues to be pretty aggressive. As long as we're in those third and short, fourth and manageable type situations, we have enough weapons and options and, a mobile Caden Veltkamp that, like you said, he does need to slide. That boy, he takes some licks. Luckily, he's popping right back up every time when it happens, but boy, slide. Do us all a favor because, man, he does make me hold my breath every once in a while. He needs to slide. But let's jump into some grades for this game. I have a feeling they're all going to be pretty high, pretty solid grades. So let's jump into our grade for the offense versus UTEP.
I'm definitely going to give the offense an A. Like we've said ad nauseum, it was a balanced attack. I'm going to take it. One interception. I don't think we had any fumbles. We didn't. I mean, dude. I mean, and 44 points. I don't see how it could be anything other than A.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's an easy A for me. I mean, 44 points, almost 500 yards of offense, balanced attack. Caden Veltkamp, controlled the offense, 66.6% completion percentage, one interception, on a tip ball. I've always felt like there should be a stat for tip ball interceptions, or even, balls tipped by the receiver that get intercepted. I don't want to say it wasn't his fault, but it's just kind of luck of the bounce how it did fall. It was ultimately intercepted, but pretty sure we stopped them. It didn't cost us any points on that turnover, so we'll take that. But yeah, the offense definitely gets an easy, clean A for me. What about the defense?
All right, so we had 83 total tackles, 35 solo tackles, 3 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, 2 passes defended, and 1 interception that was taken back for 38 yards. Too bad it wasn't a pick six. I mean, defense played great, dude. I'm other than the 2 plays, the kickoff and that 76-yard that was I was surprised that play got through, but I think defense is going to be getting an A for me too, man.
Yeah, easy A for the defense as well. I mean, those guys have played lights out, like we said earlier. In my opinion, they've been the most impressive unit this season. They've been the most consistent unit. So those guys get an A. They definitely earned that. What about the special teams grade versus UTEP?
Lights out. Canario 54-yard long, and I thought it was a little bit longer during the Twitter Spaces. But I mean, and Cole coming out, 87 total yards, long of 47, 1 inside the 20. I'm A plus for me. Other than kick coverage, A.
Yeah, I'm still going an A as well. The that the kickoff return, I think that's the first big return we've given up this year, and we had multiple guys get hands on the guy and just didn't bring him down. Had a bad angle taken. Um, breathe some life back into UTEP there early in the third quarter. It was what it was. That was really the only thing they had going for them. Scotty Walden was hype on the sideline. Congratulations, UTEP. You're 0-6. An A for me, special teams, Lucas Canario, Cole Maynard, definitely got an A for me. What about the coaching grade versus UTEP?
Coaches came out with a great game plan. I believe they stuck with it all game long. May have went in at halftime and made a little corrections, but I mean, you can't argue beating a team 44-17. I'm going to give them an A.
Yeah, I know I talked earlier about coming out and running the ball in the second half. First possession, just see 4 plays in a row were running plays. 5 out of 6 were running plays. Call it what it is. Say it's what the defense is giving you. Say it's the script for the second half. I don't know what it is, but don't be afraid to step on their throat. We were up by 20. I want to be up by 30 at that point. I want to be up by 40 at the end of the game. I don't want to take the air out of the ball and just bleed the clock. You do that, you're playing not to lose, and then you end up, putting yourself in a position where you can lose. Boston College, it's what happened. I'm still overall, I'm happy with the coaching. That's my only concern is I haven't really seen any team stop our passing attack when we're in tempo with how many weapons we have, even when they dare us to run the ball. I don't want us to be so heavily reliant on the run that we get away from what we do best, and that's passing the ball with tempo, spreading the ball out, keeping the defensive honest, with those short and intermediate, those crossing routes. And then every once in a while, you open it up to those deep ones. So I'm still happy with the coaching. That is my only question mark is, don't do that. I've seen that a couple games in a row now, but coaching definitely gets an A. Came out, had a great game plan, and basically dominated this game from whistle to whistle. So I'm happy with that. They get an A. And what about your overall grade for this convincing victory versus UTEP?
For this convincing victory, it's going to be an A for me. Everything overall, great game.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, this was kind of a clean sweep of A's for both of us. I mean, when you have that convincing a victory, no major faults or things that you can critique it really, if you're starting to comb over and critique some of the things that we did talk about, you're really sifting through and looking for things that, to pitch a perfect game. Yeah, we could have done a few things better. If you listen to Tyson Helton in the post game, yeah, there's things we could have done better. And obviously, as we go forward, and I think the quality of competition only gets better from here on out. We'll be previewing the Sam Houston game, which is one of the top teams in the league. We still have Jacksonville State. We still have Liberty. We still have some tough games left on the schedule where some of these things we've talked about, we need to clean up and do better if we want to give ourselves a chance to win those games. Because I think some of those games could come down to those, one or two possessions, one or two plays, and just being cleaner, in all three phases of the game. But obviously, this game wasn't really, I don't want to say it was much of a test. We didn't sleepwalk through it. There's things we could take away and learn from this game and do better. But there's a lot of good that came from this game as well. 44-17 victory. I'll take that every single week. A midweek game, it is what it is. Attendance wise, fall break. I'm still glad to hear that the weather was nice, that the atmosphere was good for the game. Now we get ready for what's going to be a tough away game at a conference contender, and then we come back for the blackout game with the Flo Rida pregame concert, which I hope you'll be attending. We haven't talked about it yet, but we will talk about that in a couple weeks, obviously. But just a lot to look forward to this season. 2-0 in conference, 4-2 overall. At this point, we control our destiny. As far as if we want to make the conference championship game, we just have to win the games in front of us, and we do that one game at a time. The next game is the most important game, and we'll be looking forward to Sam Houston here real shortly. But I'm really looking forward to it. I enjoyed this victory, even from Florida, even in the aftermath of the windy night of Hurricane Milton blowing through Orlando. Was a really good and convincing victory. So Tyler, hit us with your final thoughts and take us on out.
Yeah, man. I'm glad that you was able to be safe and have a great vacation down there. I know you sent me snaps. Yeah, it would look cloudy and it rained, but hey, at least y'all didn't have to leave, or you didn't have to worry about flood water or anything like that. So I know a lot of people are having to deal with that right now, and that's absolutely heartbreaking. But hey, you're safe back here in South Central Kentucky, where, as far as I know, we ain't flooded in a long time. Ain't no hurricane coming up that Big Barren River in Bowling Green to hit the city. But it's always good to win one. Tops win, you win, we lit. How about them Tops? It's always great to hear that coming in on Twitter after a game day. But you're right. We are about to get into the real test, our first real test, if I'm going to be honest, during conference play, and we'll talk about them here in a little bit. But I'll take a win anytime, any place, anywhere, by any score. But man, it's so much sweeter whenever you win a conference game. With that, Moff, who has a better than us, dog?
Nobody, buddy. You know it. Go Tops.
Go Tops.
Later, guys.
See you.